How we doing there, Don?
Good. I managed to start up my other computer. My other one just went, kerschmutz. It just kind of
Mhm.
decided just when I started the live stream, like it just kind of went black screen. So and started doing weird things. So plan B. We're good.
Okay,
We're
good deal. Good deal. We're
up to the
live
live
streaming now.
stream. We're
Mhm.
broadcast. I put on the recording. So
Mhm.
I think everything is all set to go.
Yep.
Oh,
Very
sorry,
good.
Jim.
Mhm.
So am I third?
Yes, you'll be third.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay, lovely.
And Matthew and Nancy, if you want to hang around for the rest of the show after you get done with your presentation, that's fine. If
Sure.
not, that's cool too, because sometimes the speaker has to go. I understand that, so that's not an issue.
Thank you.
If you can hang out on Facebook and write comments though, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're done it apart. That's always
Yeah.
always helpful.
And if you tell people what a great host I am.
And Jim.
Oh, and in my broken Spanish, I said el mucho el thankerito.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I understand it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
All right, I'm going stealth. This is in Jim's unbelievable hands. All right, bring the energy.
Okay.
People need
Thank
it. They need to
you.
hear your message. Bring it all today. All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
And most importantly, we're just going to have fun. You're going to talk to people, just like you're carrying on a conversation one-to-one. And Dawn and I, we have a radio show called Your Futures Now. We own the TogiNet radio station. We're live every Friday at 11 o'clock Central Time.
Nice.
And we've been on a little over a year now. It took us 46 episodes to finally hit 2 million downloads of our show.
Wow.
One a week. But the reason it took so long is because look who Dawn had helping them.
Aw.
But I was on the radio from 2005 to 2014, and we did 5 shows a week.
Wow.
And that's a pretty heavy duty schedule, especially when you don't have any guests, maybe 3-4 guests a month. And we got to be so good. I was just a co-host, but we got to be so good. There was many times we were going to go live on the radio, and I didn't have a foggy clue what we were going to talk about. And we built it up to where we had about 800,000 downloads a month in the United States, about 1.2 million around the world per month. And one of the
Nice.
things too we had was we had a top 10 song on our hands at that time. My Name is Freedom. It stayed at number 8 on the New Music Weekly charts for about 2 months. And we would play it, and we would just, every now and then we get bored, we jump in there and say something, just to liven up some things. And many times, like I tell people when we were beyond the radio program, obviously the listeners didn't know what we were going to say, so we didn't know what we were going to say either. So that kind of evened things out. But main thing in a presentation is just be yourself and, talk to people, because your message is out there. There's going to be some people that's going to need to hear your message. It's very, very important. We all need to hear good messages at this day and time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Like I tell people, we may be restricted to our homes. We may be under house arrest, but I ain't going to get in no solitary confinement.
That's true.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is wonderful what you guys are doing. This, I mean, what a massive
Yeah.
project and how powerful.
Well, thank you. Don and I, of course, we founded Speakers Pathway Coalition, and we got with our executive training directors, and we said, what can we do? Because everybody's going to the virtual world, and this is where we exist from day one.
Yes.
This is our playpen. And I think it was Bill Heinrich says, hey, we need to put on some webinars, get some guest speakers in, things like that. And I think it was Bill that says, hey, we need to put on a webinar that says messages of inspiration, hope, and support, because that's what people need. I say, hey,
Exactly.
give that man a raise. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of interviewing him for my show. So that was
Oh, Bill, any
Bill.
something?
He's incredible. Yeah.
he
he's
really
a great
is.
man. Yeah.
So you have a radio show or podcast?
It's right now it's a YouTube video show, and it's called Manifest TV, and it's for men, around what I do. And I just interview soulful leaders around love. One challenge they have, like self-care, and then I just let them share about themselves. It's short, really quick. So it's fun.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
on my 12th interview. So I
12th
learned a
interview,
lot.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun.
It's, I'll meet with you a little later if you like. I'll give you some pointers on some
Yeah.
things that I learned, because a lot of times, I'll just say, we got 4 minutes. I'll just say very quickly, when someone comes on the show, I want to know the topic we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
I'd like to know the theme. I want to have about 5 or 6 key points that they're going to make. I want them to give me about 5 or 6 questions I can ask so I can sound intelligent, at least I know what's going on. And, to be honest. And, I used to do it in the past where I just, give people a date and then send them the information and have to wait to get the material back. Now I turn it around. I send them the material. When they send it back to me, then we schedule a date.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I learned that the hard way, because some people just think you're going to show up and just gab. Wait a minute,
Yeah.
I don't know you that well and don't know what we're going to gab about.
Yeah. It's fun. Thank you. I love that.
Oh, you're welcome. We got about 3 minutes before we actually go live on Facebook. So we're live streaming now, but no one's just and we're recording, but it's not going to be part of your permanent presentation or anything like that.
Wow. I still have to figure that one out.
Oh yeah. It's real easy. We just, they cut out all my stuff.
No. You have such a great voice, like a radio show host voice, it's very powerful.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
thank
what I thought too.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I share this a lot with people when I was on the radio before, we'd get kind of bored or get kind of dry. You can tell when it's hitting the dry spot. And I'd grab a piece of paper and I'd rattle it. And I just had something handed to me. The weather forecast for the day, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be kind of cloudy with widely scattered sunlight, surface winds anywhere from 0 to 100 miles an hour. And any rain in your area would depend upon the clouds in the sky and or the water sprinklers on the ground. This has been a public service brought to you by the big three, me, myself, and I.
I like that.
And anything like that, just to break up the monotony, and get us going. So we were always doing things like that.
How fun.
Oh yeah.
So fun.
And I love your accent, I have to say.
Oh, thank you.
I love that accent.
I didn't know I had an accent after I left North Carolina and joined the Army.
Yeah, that's great. Oh my
It's going to be a
goodness,
great show. And most important, what makes it great is all the things that we're paying forward, because a lot of people are trying to drum up sales. A lot of people are trying to look for a return on investment. And we're all looking about how do we get a return on our energy?
Yeah, definitely.
That's powerful.
Absolutely.
Well, let me go ahead and mute everybody and cut all the pictures off, because we're about to go live here.
Fantastic.
And
Have fun, everyone.
good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant. Welcome to another edition of Messages of Inspiration, Hope, and Support. It's been sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. Don McGrath and I, we founded SpeakersPathway.com. It's okay if I show you a little bit about SpeakersPathway.com and some of the speakers that we've had recently. Let me share my screen with you if I may. Got to do all this techie stuff here. Usually when I'm on the radio, I got someone else doing it, but here we go. This is the homepage of SpeakersPathway.com. You can see what others are saying about us. A lot of members talk about us. We have free complimentary gifts up in this corner here. We got TEDx training that's free. I'll show you that in just a moment. Here is the messages of inspiration, hope, and support. I'll show you about seeing more and how to grow your business through speaking. That's another free course that we have. You scroll on down here, and this is the Wild Bunch. That's Don, me, and Bill, and Koji, and Tamara, and Dustin, Sony, and Preston. And of course, there's some of the testimonies here, some of the things we get. And of course, we have a radio show, Your Future is Now. But let me get up here to this TEDx talk. This is where Don offers his 5 simple steps of a free kick butt TED Talk. All you got to do is click that. It's free, no charge. Same thing, how to grow your business through speaking. Here's a free course that Don offers. In our complimentary gifts, I mentioned all of our executive training directors. Each one gives a very special gift. It's free of charge. Take a look at this one. I mean, like Tamara Hunter, she's a cancer survivor. She has a celebration journal that she gives for people that suffer from cancer or any other disease. This is a great motivational journal to keep people focused and keep them happy. And just feel free to click on those. Now, let me get over here to the messages of inspiration and hope. These are some of our speakers that's already been on the show. And you can see their individual presentation here. We got several pages here. Let's go to page number 4, for example. And let's see here. How about Mr. Bill Heinrich? He's one of our executive training directors. And when you click on those individual speakers, you can see their presentation is right here. It's also on YouTube. And also, here's a little bit of information about Bill. So feel free to go there and share that information. Be sure and come and dine and feed your needs. We got 3 wonderful speakers today. Let me cut on Matthew's camera here and invite him to the show. Okay, I just sent you a request there to turn your video on. There he is. There's Matthew. Matthew, let me make you the spotlight since you're a better looking guy than I am. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. You're going to be talking to us today about transformational breakthrough, how to flip the negative to become positive. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me cut my spotlight off, my spot video, and mute my mic. And sir, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Don. Thanks for everyone who made this possible. I'd like to start first by saying what are we grateful for. Always when I start my coaching or my speeches on stage, I'd like to start with just to remind everyone that we should be grateful for something every day. Just had this idea today. I'm grateful for technology. It's bringing us all together and it's allowing me to speak here. How to flip the negative to become positive. I'm gonna take you on a journey with me. I'm gonna tell you my story, what happened to me, how I was able to stand up 11 times after I fell 10 times. I hope this will inspire you. At the end, I'm gonna share with you my tool, which is, I call it the PMI, which will help you to flip the negative to become positive. So here we go. Imagine yourself lying on the operating table during a routine checkup, and suddenly things take turn for the worse and you're watching yourself on the table. First thing that flashes through your mind isn't work, isn't career, isn't anything. It's these moments that you didn't get to share with your loved ones. It's these moments that you didn't get to spend with your family, with your friends, with your kids, with everyone. And that's what happened to me. I was born in 1976 in Lebanon. As you see, I'm translating. English is my 3rd language. So imagine the amount of translation that's going on until I say the word, but it's fine. So I was born in Lebanon in 1976, just when the war started. And for the first 12 years of my life, we used to play a very nice game. We used to hide with my friends in shelters because there was war, and we used to guess these numbers. It was like, that's an 80, no, that's 110, that's 130. And one day we heard that something different, and we asked an adult there, and he said it's a 240. Those were the cannon calibers that were bombarding us at the time. So whether we were at school hiding under desk or in shelters, we were getting bombs, and it was fun for us as kids. But growing up, I didn't want to live this. I don't want my kids to live this. So I wanted to do something different. And this is how our childhood programming starts affecting us. I started studying hard. And I mean, until I graduated from college, I changed 15 school and colleges in 6 different countries, traveling all the time, from running from country to country, traveling. At the age of 12 maybe or 13, I left my parents. I went to boarding school, then I came back. Then it's so it has been like a whole thing happening. My father was never around. He was always traveling for work. And I remember first time I asked him, Dad, when are you coming back home for good? We miss you. And he said, in a couple of years, son. I was 9 years old the first time I asked him this question. The last time I asked him this question was a couple of days ago, and it's still the same answer, couple of years. My mom is angry, sad, and lonely, and she still is. She always has been, and I don't blame her. So I thought, I don't want this. So as I said, I traveled a lot. I started pushing myself hard, working a lot. My family were living here in the States. We're in Powell and in Ohio. And I was on the other side of the world. I was between Dubai, India, South Africa, just everywhere, jumping everywhere. I used to take any job that no other human being could take. I used to take it. So whether it includes 16 or 17 hours a day of work, I take it. I said, I push myself. Because for me, I wanted something different. And I thought this is the way. And I mean, my relationship with my wife and kids was suffering. At least this is what they told me. I didn't know that, because for me, I used to send them loads of gifts and it was fine. But I guess I was trying to compensate for this guilt feeling that I'm not there. 3 years ago, I went for a routine checkup, and I tell you the truth, it wasn't a routine checkup. I reached 450 pounds. I couldn't stand anymore, and my knees were shaking every time I walk. And I thought, I'm a top executive, I'm a top CEO, and I just can't sit on this chair, because in the other part of the world, like in the Gulf, in Dubai, and all of these places, it's a shame and stuff. So never mind. So I went to this doctor. I told him, can't you do something? And he said, sure, let's do some tests. So I started doing all kind of tests and all kind of tests. And I woke up after these tests and I saw the doctor doing this. And first thing I was like, okay, he's trying to show me the fingers, because I was under the test and stuff, so I should count them. I said 5, I can count. He said this again, like, okay, that's a funny doctor. I mean, he's a family friend, so I thought he was being funny. He was trying to high five me. I was trying to reach out to high five him, and I couldn't. And he said, these are 5 months you got to live. And the smile just went from my face, and the one that more smile was like, what? He said, 5 months to live. I said, what are you saying? He said, I'm sorry, you have something there, and I'm gonna go into medical stuff. It's a huge inflammation and stuff, and it's very developed stage, and you have 5 months to live. So here everything stopped, and I suddenly realized that it doesn't matter. I mean, all of these hours of working, traveling, living out of a suitcase, never living in the same country for more than 2 years in a row, changing cities every year. For what? For having 5 months to live? Why? I mean, suddenly all of these flashbacks came to my mind. I mean, I woke up, I was born with war. Until the age of 12, we changed maybe 5 houses because our houses were getting burned from bombs and from war. One time we had to escape through the forest for more than five days and sleep in the forest just to escape all the assassination and stuff. And here I am, I have 5 months to live. And what did I do wrong? I mean, I've been working. The fact is, I've been planning for this my whole life, only if I knew. I mean, living unhealthy, eating unhealthy, not caring about anything. So I stopped and I said, enough. I need to fight. I'm gonna fight this, and once I'm out of this, I'm gonna change everything. I'm gonna help people to change. And I looked up, and you know how we are humans. We remember God only when we need Him. So I said, God, I just remembered you now. Please save me. And usually I pray and stuff, but you know, so it took me 8 months to recover. I took the operation. It took 8 months to recover. And after recovering, I gave up. I gave up my position as top executive, where I was as main member of the board and partner and senior partner. I gave up everything. I came to live with my family and in Ohio, in the States. And I got certified as health and life coach and motivational speaker. I've been doing this for 3 years, helping top executive maintain balance, helping them rearrange their life. And I wrote a couple of processes about this, helping people. And I've been speaking on stages to help people, to help them realize that what they're doing it so they can be with their loved ones and not just to spend their life doing this. And most of the people, when they realize this, when they are faced with this truth, it's like they're getting a slap on the face and they freeze. And here's the process that I created that helps them flip the negative or the freeze. And in a while, I'm going to explain what's this into positive. So just before getting there, let me just continue my story. After many years, I returned to Lebanon, and this was maybe 10 years ago, before getting married. Before I left Lebanon, I was 11 or 12 years old, and I started working abroad. And after many years, I returned to Lebanon for a workshop, and going back just brought all of those unpleasant memories. So on that night, I went to this hole-in-the-wall coffee shop. I just sat there and started counting the seconds until the time is gone and I leave this country. Don't get me wrong, I love this country, but it just brings so many bad memories. So I was sitting there, I ordered my usual espresso, and I have a book. As I'm old school, I love to read books and I love the smell of the pages. So here's this beautiful girl coming in, and she sat on the other couch in front of me. And the whole coffee shop is just 2 couches. So I look at her and I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So I stood up, I walked towards her, I sat next to her and I nudged her. And without even looking at me, she had her book also in her hand. She said, I'm not interested. And I told her, oh God, you're still the same old mean girl. She looked at me, she was like, oh, is that you? Oh my God. It's been like, what, 15 years? We haven't seen each other. That girl was my best friend from school. We used to hide under the table together, holding hands when we were little, during war and during bombs. We used to run in the sun and play. She was my best friend. And today she's not anymore because she's my wife. We have 2 beautiful boys together. We have a cat and a dog together. She's still my best friend and she's my wife. So just when you think that the whole world has given up on you, just when you think that your whole world has stumbled and fell, know that there's always someone for you. Know that, I mean, when I sat in this place, it was dark, I was alone, and I just wanted the time to pass by. I was like, why my company sent me for a 2 days workshop here? And I knew why. I mean, I married my best friend and we were living a nice life. So I always get this question. What do I do to flip this negative that is pulling me back and make it positive, make it push me rather than pulling me back? And the first answer I tell people, you're doing it. I mean, you're here, whether you're listening now or you're one of my clients giving a session, or you're on stage speaking. And by the way, I had like 5 or 6 scheduled stages before this COVID, and they were all canceled. And here I am, still smiling. So I'm gonna introduce today my tool, which is the PMI. The PMI is a tool I developed a while ago. I've been working on it, and I developed it, and I'm working with my clients on it. And it's an amazing tool. It's based on career and psychology and many other stuff, and of course my coaching experience. So the P is for pivot, and this is what you need to do. This is the first step you need to do when you are faced with any and I'm going to explain this very thoroughly. When you are faced with any situation, usually the human being, they have a self defense mechanism. When you are faced with any change, you freeze usually. And why you freeze? Because you just want to stay in your comfort zone. And you stay in comfort zone and you freeze because this is where you are comfort. You don't want to move or anything. And you start giving yourself some excuses, saying, I'm just evaluating the whole situation. I'm just waiting for the right moment. And these are just excuses for you to stay, because the way it is, the mind loves the challenge while the body loves the routine. And there's always this struggle between the mind, who wants a challenge, who wants something new, who wants the thrill, and the body, who wants the routine, who wants to eat the same thing and sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time. And because this is how it is. And this is what happens with, for example, I can tell about what my niche, which is like top executive and business people, when they focus a lot about their career, they start forgetting everything else. They start forgetting about their body. So here's what you have to do. I'm gonna go real quick about this, and because just before I forget, I give free consultation. Just reach out to me if you need anything. So I'm just gonna go quickly about this. First thing, you freeze. So you need to acknowledge the change. First of all, let's acknowledge the situation we're in. Let's say we know we're living this new COVID thing, this new stay home, and this is how it is. Honor your routine. So what I do is I still wake up in the morning, I still say my prayers, I still do my meditation, get dressed, and rather than turning my car on and driving to my office, I just walk to my home office now. Now, the trick is, let's make it fun. So let's tell our body and our mind that this new normal is fun. This way it will stop fighting it. So how is fun? For example, take bigger breaks. What I do is I take Wednesday off. I take like a weekend, which is Saturday, Sunday, plus Wednesday off. I take a longer break. I take lunch with my family. So it's fun for me. Then find the fun. Find the fun. I sent the other day an email for myself and asking for a day off, and I approved it. So it's fun. Here's the thing. I always hear this from people. Get out of your comfort zone. I say, do not get out of your comfort zone. You've been working on your comfort zone and you like it. It's your safe place. It's your customized place. It's like you've been playing this game and this is the level that you have mastered and you love playing it because it's fun. You mastered this level. So what you do is drag the comfort zone with you while keeping the challenge on. So this is the whole process I'm talking about. The M from PMI is find the human in the situation. Focus on the values, not fear. Do not talk about the problem. Just focus on the values. Mute your news app. Stop these pop-up from the news that I don't know how many deaths and I don't know. Just mute those. And finally, just post pictures, tag your friends, go online, tell people what you're doing, inspire people. So it's pivot, move forward and inspire. Do not freeze, because when you freeze, you're freezing, you're sitting where you are. That's it. And the whole world is going forward and you are going backwards. So that's the whole thing. Now, if I have like 1 more minute, I'd like to give one more thing. I don't know, do I have 1 more minute? I just like to give you one last thing. It's a quick exercise. It doesn't take more than 30 seconds or 1 minute tops. So here's what I need from you. Just let's stand up all together and just fix your vision on one point at the end of the room, and let's call this point O, like objective, and just take a step forward. And when you take a step forward, stop and look at the same point and see how close it is. Acknowledge this moving forward that you did. Now look over your shoulder to the back, and you see your old self still sitting there and still making excuses and still looking, and tell yourself how closer it looks from here. Tell yourself how good it looks, how motivated you feel. And this is all you need to do. Pivot, move, inspire. I hope I was able to inspire you. You can reach out to me I'm giving free consultation, and I'm always approachable for anything. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for my fellow speakers who are also making this and inspiring everyone, guys. Thanks.
Well, thank you, sir. I really enjoyed your presentation. I'm so glad that you reach out and talk to people and share with them your experience, because you can really touch people who have been told they've got a very short period of time left to live. They can really resonate with that. I really resonated also with your story growing up in Lebanon, because I served in Vietnam in 1969 and 1970. I was in a place called Tay Ninh, Tayninh. It was known as Rocket City. To be woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning with incoming rounds, not knowing how many are coming and where they're going to land.
Yeah,
it's an experience that will stay with you forever. So I can appreciate that. But on behalf of everyone, thank you, sir. On behalf of everyone, thank you so much for sharing your presentation. Could you let people know your web address and how they can get in touch with you by email, please?
Sure. My website is matthewcorbin.com. And just go to my website and everything's there. You can contact me. You can get in touch with me. And as I said, I'm giving free consultation. I have free quizzes, free tools, everything that we can do to help everyone in this period, just to rise up again.
Okay. And email address is there too? How?
Yeah, it's on the website, or it's
on the website?
mattcorbin1@gmail.com. So mattcorbin1@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or just on the email, or on Facebook, or on the website. I mean,
okay. Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
Matthew, thank you very much. Really appreciate being here today. And I've got to move on. I've got to bring Nancy on. She's probably chomping at the bit to get going after hearing your motivational story. But thank you again,
Yeah,
sir.
looking forward to hear her. Yes.
You bet. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, sir.
You too, sir. Thank you.
And let me do a little work here, ladies and gentlemen, and bring Nancy on board here. I'm going to turn on her video and invite her to unmute her. And Nancy, did you get the request on your video? There she is.
Hi.
Hi, let me put you in the spotlight there. How are you today?
Thank you. Good. How are you?
Yeah. Nancy, welcome to the stage. Nancy Benitez.
Yeah.
You're going to talk to us about us guys. You're going to, take the slack out of our chain, right?
Right.
4 things men can do to stay grounded during times of uncertainty and chaos.
Yes.
This is one guy that needs to hear your story. So let me shut off my video,
Thank
mute
you.
my mic, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jim, Don, and Bill, if you're watching. I really appreciate this opportunity. So before we begin, I'm going to just jump right in. I want you guys to play with me for a moment. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to pretend it's April 14th, 2021. Now, what are you proud of having accomplished? And what does your life feel like for you? Now let's change a little bit. And what do you have guilt of not doing? So I'd like you to keep those in the back of your mind, because we're going to come back to those. And now we're going to shift gears a little bit. So I want you to think about somebody who really inspires you. Say it's an athlete, a football player, a singer, or maybe an inspirational speaker. And I want you to really think about what inspires you about them, the way they play, just whatever it is. And I want you to know that in order for them to get there, they needed to do and be committed to doing 4 different things. And these are, we're going to go into the 4 things that is going to keep us grounded during this time, and the 4 things that you can do to change your life. So the first thing is we need to gain clarity on the game we're playing in life, right? These inspiring people that you so admire and that you so look up to, they had to do 4 things, and they had to do is gain clarity. They had to gain clarity on what they wanted to do with their life, how they wanted to play the game of life. So right now you are playing that game, and it's up to you whether it's the first half or the second half of your game. You ultimately get to decide what it is that you want to do, what plays you want to make, what you want your playbook to look like. And so we're all sitting here with so much time in our hands. I mean, I know we have to work, but some of us have less time because we have the kids, but some of us have more time. So what instead of, binging on Netflix and doing those other things that do keep us distracted, what if you looked at this as an opportunity of doing something instead of just watching and doing what you have always wanted to do? So I want you to take a deep breath with me. We're going to play again. I'm really big into visualizations, and I want you to visualize as we take focus off of what's going on right now, which is pretty fearful. And I want you to think of just one thing that you've always dreamed of doing. Maybe it was starting your own business to gain more freedom, make more money, have more choices. Maybe you want to lose weight so you can be more active, maybe playing more sports. And maybe you want to just work on yourself, your personal growth, so you track the love of your life. So what does that feel like for you? What is this, having this freedom, this peace, this new happiness feel like in your cells? So now if it feels right, and with your permission to yourself, give yourself that permission to do this one thing that you've always wanted to do. If you were gone tomorrow, what is that one thing? What is your core purpose that you wanted to do? Right now, you can either choose to play the game, or you can choose to stand in the sidelines and watch as others play their game and watch as yours just goes by right before your eyes. So in taking another breath, we'll go to number 2. And I'm sorry if there's any kids out there watching, but number 2 is tackling the daily mindfucks. Now, mindfucks are those things that keep you short, that keep you small, that constantly playing your mind every day, especially right now. They keep you from moving forward into visualizing, into taking action, into what you dream. And so I attended a conference with JT Fox, and he said something that really hit me hard. He said, we only have 50 good days a year. Can you imagine that? Like 50 good days. I want at least 300 days, not just 50. And so I refuse to have only 50 good days. So how can I tackle those gremlins in my head that keep showing up every day, especially now, especially when we're going out and seeing everybody with masks and, buying as much toilet paper and food and water as they can? What are we going to do about that when that crosses your mind? So a thing that I use, I rewind that movie that constantly is playing in my head, and I change the story. So our pasts are like a movie. We have the controller, we get to choose what we're watching. And so in having those limited beliefs, when those, I'm not going to say it again, when those gremlins come up, without judgments, you want to ask yourself where that fear and inadequacy is coming from. Because more than likely, if you stop to think back to that experience, you're a totally different person. You're not that person you were back then. You have everything that you need that's different. So you question everything. You're curious and you don't judge yourself. Now, you ask yourself, what opportunities have I had since then? How much personal growth have I done? How am I such an amazing and incredible different person than I was back then? right? You didn't know what you didn't know. Now you know what you know, and you have the power to move forward. And so in doing that, you think of things differently. You tell yourself a new story. You build new pathways in your brain. And I am a big fan of what I like to call, guys out there, manformations. And they help you realize what a badass you are. And so a manformation to me personally, you know, based off affirmations, is these inspiring sentences that you can use from going and feeling incapable to really standing in your power and feeling like you can do anything and taking action. And so some of the examples that I use, I'm gathering some manformations from some incredible soulful leaders right now that I will have on my website later. But some examples that I use are, I will not give up when things get hard. I refuse to live in my past. I am who I am creating right now. You're not your past. And then I refuse to come from a place of lack, and I live in abundance, and I will create more. So this is just a transition. Look at it as an opportunity. Now, another big one for me is jumping into number 3 is fueling the tank. So as a health and fitness coach as well, if you think of your competitive athletes or singers or inspirational speakers, they all eat the right foods to nourish their body, you know, so that they can go on years and years doing what they're passionate about and what they love. So I could sit here, you know, as a health coach and tell you everything you're not supposed to eat, but that's not what I do. I don't tell you that. Instead, I give you the steps you need and help you create new habits that crowd out the old ones. And so what I like to tell my clients is to add just one small little step every 2 weeks, because you got here in probably years. It's going to take a little bit to get to where you want to be. So here's what I mean. So, you know, you want to drink, say, an 8-ounce glass of water before your Coke or your cigarette or, you know, whatever breakfast you're having. You know, just one glass of water would hydrate you right in the morning, right before anything, and then you continue your day. And you can do that for 2 weeks and see how you feel. Another thing is you want to add a small salad to your dinner. No matter what you're eating, you get fuller faster, and then you eat less dinner. And imagine what that's like. You know, your belly's feeling better, you feel better overall. Another great thing is eating a smoothie, you know, or drinking a smoothie before your lunch. I mean, smoothies are in abundance anymore. Like, they sell them everywhere, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. Get a green smoothie that you really love and have that before your lunch. I am a big fan of nuts. And so what you can do is have, you know, a handful of nuts before a candy bar. And my favorite, because I have to have like a sugary treat after dinner. And so it's just having a piece of fruit before your sugary treat, you know, one night a week, just one night. With, you know, after that, you can have your chocolate cake or your donut or whatever it is. It's just crowding out those habits, you know, and eventually you'll have all of these new habits and you'll feel so great. You won't want to go back to the old way of living. So that is number 3. And then the last one is very important. And it's one of the most important things that you can do, especially now, is you want to take inspired action. And so without taking action, you're going to continue on those pathways to those limiting beliefs that keep you stuck, that tell you that you can't do it. And it's just this hamster wheel that keeps going. So how do you take inspired action? I know everyone's saying that's like, take action, take action. So here's what I do personally in my own life, which has really helped because it's helped me focus. You know, our brains aren't designed to work, you know, for 10 hours a day without breaks, without lunch, without anything like that. So what I do is you figure out one action that you want to do a day, Monday through Friday only. You got to have weekends off. And what you want to do is you create a 50-minute block. And what you do is you time it. So you time that for 50 minutes. You know, you have the timer in front of you, so it's ticking, and you know you have to get that done so that Facebook, Instagram, all the social media isn't distracting you to do it. And so, you know, you schedule it in your calendar, and then you're committed to following through with that. So just one block. If you feel like you need more, do 4 to 5 blocks, which is what I do. And it really helps me keep focused. Now, I did the math, and I want you to know. So if you do just one action, every day for 5 days a week, that's 20 actions a month. And that's 240 actions a year. So imagine versus doing nothing, imagine how much you could get done in that 15-minute block just once a day for 5 days. And then the 2 days you can just be free and binge on Netflix and do whatever you have to do. So you want to do that. Now we're going to go back to where we were at the beginning. And with what you know now, we're going to imagine it's April 2021 again. Now, what have you been proud of having accomplished a year from now? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? How is your heart so full and abundant of joy? And I want you to go to the opposite. What do you have guilt about not doing? So whatever it is, whatever this dream it is that you have, imagine not doing this for a year from now and how you're going to feel. And what is the cost of not doing that action? And what will you be sacrificing? So those are my messages for you today. So number one is overviewing. You want to get clarity. You want to learn to tackle those gremlins and figure out what your limiting beliefs are and start telling yourself a new story with manformations or affirmations. You want to fuel your tank by adding just one good health habit a week for 2 weeks. And then you want to take inspired action, doing 50-minute block a day for a day, Monday through Friday, using a timer. So all of these things keep us grounded. They help us look forward to the future instead of wondering just what's going to happen next. So that is my 4 gifts to you guys. Now I can really quickly tell you how I can further inspire you guys out there. If you text the word manifest, MANIFEST, to 474747, you'll get a free guide on 3 ways to improve your performance in the bedroom naturally. And then you will also get an invitation to a workshop that I'm hosting on Hump Day, April 22nd at 6 p.m. EST. And that is how to stop dating the same woman in different bodies. So again, it's manifest, and it's 474747 to get that. So thank you so much. That's a wrap for me. I appreciate you, Jim, Dawn, and Bill, if you want to come back. And thank you guys so much for watching this today and for listening. I appreciate it.
Wow, that was a lot of good information. I like the way you put everything in, literally in a bite-sized type of portion for everyone. You had my attention about, hey, just eat a little, salad or a little fruit first, then you can have that piece of chocolate cake, you know. Really amazing. But also too, I really appreciate you talking about drinking a glass of water in the morning. That's extremely important to set your day off right, because you've been fasting all night. And that's why we call the first meal of the day breakfast. Because that's what we do. And it's a great way to, and I read where it's a great way for people to start losing weight is just drinking more water, and it's just wonderful. And you mentioned Bill, you're talking about our executive training director, Mr. Bill Heinrich. The man with he's got a degree on clarity and all those things.
And healing limiting beliefs. Yes.
And getting out of the physical. And, he talks about the 2 emotions. One is fear and the other one is love. And fear we're familiar with. We don't have to go to night school on that one. But living in love, that's the challenge. You interviewed Bill on your show, and it's on YouTube. Is that correct? Would you share that?
It's on YouTube. It's if you go to my Facebook page, which is attractttheloveyoucrave.com, all in one. It gives the link. I don't have a link yet for it. It has just all the numbers. So if you go on my webpage, I do 2 episodes a week usually. And Bill is in one of those. So if you want a link to that way, you can find me on Facebook.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Would you repeat the link again slowly? It kind of drug there a little bit.
Sorry about that. Okay. So if you go to Facebook, it's you can find me under Attract the Love You Crave or the love you crave. That's it. Sorry.
Attract the love you crave.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
someone wanted to email you and get in touch with you and want to say, tell me more, how could they get in touch with you?
It's Nancy at attracttheloveyoucrave.com.
.com. Good deal. Well, Nancy, thank you so very much. We really
you.
appreciate it. And I want to share again our screen and show where you'll be able to see Nancy's presentation, Matthew's presentation, Odil's presentation be up next. And I just want to, share this with you very quickly, if I may. And thank you again. Hope you can hang around and stay with us.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Let me do a little homework here and get some things here. Put myself here in the spotlight for a second because I want to change the screen here 1 second. And I want to share this with you, ladies and gentlemen. This is at speakerspathway.com. And if you go to our homepage like this right here, I'm down at the bottom here, and you see the messages of inspiration and hope and support. If you just click on that, it's going to take you to this page here. This is where all of our speakers that we've got separated, their individual presentations are at. And we got several pages there. This is the first page. We got several pages there, and just click on any of the speakers that you'd like to hear their message, because that'd be their individual presentation there. And there's a little bit of information about the person. So I just want to mention that to you, because all of these speakers today and the previous ones we've had, they've just dropped so many great presentations, so much wonderful information of inspiration, hope, and support. And it's time now for me to bring Odile on. Let me give her the video and unmute her. Did I do that right?
I believe so. Hello,
Hey,
Jim.
how about that? Let me give you the spotlight since you're a lot better looking than I am. And we're just so glad to have you with us today. You're going to be speaking to us about the truth about fear. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes.
Oh, I know everybody wants to hear that, and I do too. So let me stop my video and mute my mic, and the stage is yours.
I have never felt so frightened in my life. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think straight. My heart felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. I had just been told that I was going to be shot at dawn. At least that's what it felt like. My heart was racing. I was shaking uncontrollably as I paced around the house, and I couldn't imagine how I would come out of this alive. The cause of that reaction? I had made a mistake on an invoice. That's it. I'd made a mistake on an invoice, and I felt like I was going to die. Why? 2 reasons. One, I had subconscious references for being in trouble and disappointing people. And 2, the brain and body can't tell the difference between fear in our minds and real, immediate physical danger. So even though I was walking around the house saying to myself out loud, this is ridiculous, why am I so scared? And even though I knew that all I needed to do was correct the error and resend the invoice, I still continued to feel like I was going to die any minute. Have you ever felt that way? Well, whether you're worried about the coronavirus and the effects that the situation is having on so many areas of life, the uncertainty and the disruption, fear of the future, or fear of getting ill or dying, or you have a fear of what other people think of you, or a fear of not being good enough, fear of charging what you're worth, or any other fear related to beliefs. Or maybe you have a phobia or some other illogical fear. But even if you know that your fear is warranted, that there's good reason for the fear, over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to share with you exactly what fear is, regardless of the subject of your fear, what really causes it, and of course, most importantly, how to clear the fear. So we'll start with what fear really is and how it works in your brain and body, and then why 2 people can experience the same circumstances, but only one feels fear. And then I'll give you a little technique for clearing fear in under 2 minutes. So what is fear really? You may have heard it said that fear keeps you safe. But the truth is, fear doesn't keep you safe. Fear keeps you stressed. You don't need to be frightened of traffic to not walk out in front of it. And you certainly don't need to be sitting at home thinking about how frightened you are of traffic in order to not walk out in front of a moving vehicle. So being frightened of something won't make it go away or change. For example, if you're frightened of the coronavirus, so getting ill or other people getting ill, or you're frightened of the knock-on effects of the situation, so losing your job or your business, or things being cancelled, or financial loss, feeling fear is not going to make those things change. But being able to think strategically, being able to be creative, and being able to notice new opportunities and come up with solutions, that will empower you to make changes regardless of those circumstances that are beyond your control. So by the end of these few minutes, you will know how to make the switch in your brain from fear to strategy, creativity, and empowerment. As you probably know, fear is a key part of our survival mechanism. So fear is a physiological state created by stress chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol. And those chemicals cause changes in the brain and body that allow us to respond to immediate danger by running away, fighting, or pretending to be dead. And this is crucial, of course, when we're faced with immediate physical danger. However, unless your life is in immediate danger and you need to act instantly to run away or fight or pretend to be dead, there is no benefit from fear. In fact, fear can do more damage than good in all circumstances where you're not in immediate physical danger. Now, the problem is that your brain and body don't know that. Have you ever watched a scary movie? Your brain and body can't tell the difference between the movie and a real threat. So your heart rate increases and you go into the same fight, freeze, flight emergency state you would if the threat in the movie was actually real. In fact, the only thing stopping you from running screaming into the street is that your conscious mind knows it's just a movie. But since it's your subconscious that is controlling your brain and body on automatic, for example, you don't need to consciously regulate your heartbeat or run your organs. So since it's your subconscious that is controlling your brain and body, and your subconscious can't tell the difference between reality and imagination, even though you consciously know there is no real danger and it's just a movie, your subconscious is still putting your brain and body into that emergency fight, freeze, flight state anyway. You'll also notice that you don't need to be in physical danger or watching a scary movie to feel fear. You just need to think of something you're worried about for your brain and body to start producing those stress chemicals. And the reason this is so important is that one of the effects of stress chemicals in your system is the draining of blood from the prefrontal cortex of your brain, where you do your cognitive thinking, to the back of your brain for survival mode. Because when you're being chased by a bear, there's no time to think things through and strategize or negotiate. You need to act immediately and instinctively. And that's what the back of your brain is for. So this means that whenever you're feeling fear or worry, or in fact any other negative emotion, the part of your brain that makes decisions, solves problems, assesses risk, and forms your judgment is literally offline. You're effectively trying to drive with the handbrake on. So in order to make wiser decisions and notice opportunities that will give you options you hadn't thought of before, and to access your creative problem-solving skills, you need to bring that part of your brain back online. And bringing that part of your brain back online, releasing the handbrake, means reducing the levels of stress chemicals in your system and increasing the levels of feel-good chemicals like endorphins, serotonin, and oxytocin to allow blood flow back to that part of your brain. So feeling good is about more than just feeling good. It's about bringing your cognitive thinking back online. Now, thoughts are connections between neurons in the neocortex of your brain, and those connections trigger your limbic system to produce matching chemicals. So to put it simply, negative thoughts trigger stress chemicals, which cause blood to drain from your prefrontal cortex, and positive thoughts trigger feel-good chemicals, which allow blood to return to your prefrontal cortex, allowing you to think clearly again. So you can see how the vicious cycle perpetuates. We start to feel fear, and then the natural human response is to look for reasons for the fear. And thinking of those reasons then triggers more of those chemicals that are causing the feelings of fear, which cause us to look for more reasons for it. And so we start to think about more details and read articles and watch videos and discuss it with friends. And in every moment, that is causing increasing levels of stress chemicals to be pumped into our system, perpetuating that constant fight, freeze, flight state and keeping the cognitive thinking of part of the brain offline, so we can't think straight. Toilet paper, anyone? Or we can't problem solve effectively or access our judgment. So now we know that the top priority in achieving our goals and dreams is to feel good, so that we can keep the cognitive thinking part of the brain online. The problem is, it's not always easy to just feel good, especially when you're already feeling fear. And the reason it's easier to feel bad than to feel good, and the reason it can be so difficult to stop feeling frightened, even when you know there's no real danger, is that stress chemicals are stronger than feel-good chemicals because they're part of our survival system. They're designed to get and keep our attention on the danger. So it's because it's more important for us to focus on the wild animal that's threatening us than on the pretty flowers. So the key to being able to keep your cognitive thinking online is catching any negative emotions early. The earlier you change your focus, the easier it is because the levels of stress chemicals won't be as high. So the longer you allow yourself to stay in a negative emotional state, the higher the concentration of stress chemicals in your system, and the more difficult it is then to change that chemical balance. So now I'm going to give you a quick, effective way to change your chemical state that takes under 2 minutes. And the great news is it only takes 60 to 90 seconds to change your chemical state and therefore your emotional state, as long as you're keeping your focus on the positive and off the negative for that just minute and a half. So for this exercise, you'll need a subject. So someone or something you love. So it can be a person or a pet or an animal that's not your pet, but you think they're cute. And it needs to be someone or something that you don't have any negative emotions attached to. So no worry or missing or longing or guilt or regret or anything like that. Just love and appreciation. And if you can't think of a person or an animal, then you can use a place or an activity you love, or an object like shoes. So take a deep breath, close your eyes, and start by thinking of your favorite color. And if you don't have a favorite color, then just pick a color you like. And imagine being surrounded by that beautiful color. Feel the feeling of that color. And now think of your subject and imagine holding that person, animal, place, or activity in your arms in a hug. And notice the feeling as you imagine hugging your subject. Notice the physical feeling in your chest or solar plexus. And imagine that feeling as a ball of light or energy. And imagine it spreading down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy. And now imagine that light or energy overflowing from you, spilling out and filling the whole room. And you can open your eyes. And you just changed your brain and body chemistry and brought your prefrontal cortex online. Now, don't worry if the feeling wasn't very strong, or even if you couldn't feel it at all. This is a skill. And like all skills, as you practice it, you'll get better and better at it, and it will become easier, faster, and stronger. So practice that little exercise as much as you can to keep developing the ability and skill, and to condition your brain and body to lower stress chemicals and produce more feel-good chemicals. And then, of course, whenever you notice you're starting to feel any negative emotion, immediately do that little exercise to switch from stress chemicals to feel-good chemicals and keep your cognitive thinking online. So what actually causes fear in the first place? Why do some people feel fear of something and others don't? We're only born with two fears. Our default setting has only two fears built in: the fear of loud noises and the fear of public speaking. No, I'm kidding. The fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. All other fear is programmed through experience, either by experiencing it directly or by learning it from someone else. So this means that fear isn't always rational, and it certainly isn't consistent. So what causes fear of not being good enough, and fear of disappointment, fear of uncertainty? You'll have noticed that some people have responded to the coronavirus situation with fear, while others aren't feeling fear. Some are feeling frustrated and angry. Some are feeling optimistic and seeing the bright side, and others aren't paying much attention at all. So what makes the difference? What makes the difference is the subconscious references that provide the evidence for what to fear, the evidence for how to react to anything. So subconscious references created from childhood experiences provide the evidence that proves our beliefs. Now, that evidence may not be true, but like a computer, the subconscious can't use logic or reason the way the conscious mind does. It can't tell the difference between reality and imagination, and it can't judge something as unrealistic. Have you ever felt frightened by an unrealistic, scary movie? Dinosaurs, anyone? So the subconscious just runs according to its programming. So to change the results, you need to change the programming, which means changing the evidence that proves the programming. Based on the latest in neuroscience, we now are able to change the evidence that proves limiting beliefs to the opposite, positive, and empowering. So to finish off, that "I'm gonna die" reaction to an error being pointed out in my invoice traced back to being in trouble at school for not doing homework. And those were the days of corporal punishment in South African schools. So after changing those subconscious references using the REMIT method that we now use with our clients, I was able to calmly and efficiently simply correct the invoice, resend it to the client, and get paid. And I no longer feel fear when invoicing or when making mistakes, or a fear of people being angry with me. It's about replacing fear with strategy and problem solving, which can completely transform all areas of your life as you keep your cognitive thinking online more of the time. Thank you, Jim.
Wow, what a beautiful way of explaining fear and the way it works and all that. And I really love the analogy that you gave about watching a scary movie, and you know how I can really, you know, even when you get ready to go to bed, I mean, you can still, you kind of like, do I want to sleep with the lights on or what?
That's
And
right.
you know, it's kind of like I remember a thought came to mind about a lady that I knew, still know. There was a 1984 hit by Rockwell, and it's Somebody's Watching Me. And she used to say that song used to scare her to death. And it's amazing how things can get us, you know, so distracted, and how fear can enslave us. And I like the way you presented that. Great talk. We're almost out of time, but would you be kind enough to share your web address and your website, website and email address, please?
Of course. It's theremitmethod.com. So my surname, theremitmethod.com. And the email address is Odile, ODILLE, at theremitmethod.com.
Thank you so very much. And ladies and gentlemen, we're just about out of time. In fact, we are out of time, but I just want to say to Matthew, Nancy, and to Odile, Thank you so very much. I mean, gracious. I'm just honored to be your host and to hear all the wonderful messages. We'll be back tomorrow with 3 new speakers. It's going to be Molly Osborne, Robert Anderson, and Ron Fox. I'm Jim Grant. Have a wonderful day and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.